You're listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond.
Oh, this one's a little less creepy.
Every week.
Yeah, her voice is less creepy. Like it was very
Yeah, she's a little more relaxed about it.
yeah. She's not as aggressive as before.
That's good. We enjoy that. Thank you, recording lady.
Mm.
All right, here we go. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 123, James Gang, Miami. And coming to you from the wet and wild suburbs of Chicago, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John, still twitching eye Matola.
No way, is still twitching.
I think, what is this, week 2, week 3? I have to go see a doctor.
Well, I don't know, because we didn't record for a little bit before the last episode we recorded. So yeah, you need to see a doctor now. It's official.
Yeah.
If Dr. Jill Brees could please paging Dr. Bruce. Paging Dr. Brees.
I'll take any advice I can get here. This is like
we need an expert consult, please.
I'm fine until I'll wake up and then all of a sudden it'll start twitching again. I'll be like, damn it, I forgot.
The worst. Who's our other doctor? Dr. Andrew Meyer, right? He's a doctor. Paging Dr. Brees, Dr. Meyer, Dr. Brees.
Do we know what they're doctors of? Are they doctors of?
I know that Dr. Brees is a doctor of medicine. Dr. Meyer, I don't know if he ever clarified. But I mean, I would assume based on the fact that I asked if there was other doctors that he's also Dr. Medicine, but that would just be an assumption. So, Andrew, you're gonna have to let us know. And please. Maybe we'll slowly, week by week, diagnose you. Could you tell me what he's experiencing? In the next episode, he'll be like, "Well, I'm having this too," and then they'll, in the course of about 16 or 17 episodes, we'll have a diagnosis for you.
Please help me.
It's an inoperable brain tumor. Damn it! We probably should have identified that sooner. Yeah, go see a local doctor, one that's not in the UK, and get back to us on our next episode.
Okay.
And I've had that before, never for as long as you, but it is super, super annoying.
You tell me about it.
I spent all day at the water park. We had tickets to go to Illinois' largest water park, Raging Waves? I think something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. Yeah, spent all day there and pretty
Getting
tired.
wet and wild.
Going on, we did that crazy water slide that you're in a tube and then you go in this giant cone. It felt I was falling backwards off of a cliff is what it feels like, going down like falling backwards, and then you just go down up this gigantic cone. I don't even know how, 35, 40 feet in the air, and then swing back. Pretty freaking scary.
You are a braver man than I cannot stand that stuff.
I got out. My daughter was crying. She was so scared by it, and then 10 minutes later, she's like, "I want to do it again." Usually she's super adventurous about that sort of stuff, so I was surprised that she wasn't loving it. But yeah, it was fun. I like water slides, but roller coasters I can't really do anymore. I'm just oh, my head hurts. I'm old.
Well, my brother, he gave me a new nickname. So we've talked about
after all these years, he's still coming up after 40 plus years. How old's Mike now? He's gonna be in his
he turned 4. Yeah, he turned 41 over the summer. Yeah.
41 years, still coming up with new nicknames.
Oh no, because this has to do with the whole getting old thing, right? So my parents have this thing. It's called the Theracane. You must have heard of it, right?
Sounds familiar.
It's like a big cane shaped thing with the the handle here, and you take it and you dig it into your back and
massage your back with it.
Right, the Theracane, right? And then we went to my aunt and uncle's house in Newport, and they're just I don't know why he thought this. He's like, should we take the Theracane? Nah, they'll probably have a Theracane. I don't know why they think they just have one laying around. Sure enough, when we went into the guest room, there it was.
There you go. They had one.
Right. And so he came walking out with it, going like this. And I'm just like, did you bring that? He goes, no, it's theirs. I said, what, does everybody have one of these? So anyways, I was over and I had a little, pinch in my neck or whatever. So, I'm using the Theracane, right?
Yeah.
So my brother said, well, he said, that's now you finally turned over. He goes, you're no longer Johnny Hurricane, you're Johnny Theracane. And I said, oh shit.
That's good.
He said, I've crossed the line. I'm now in the old territory. Johnny Theracane.
For those of you that don't know, that was John's stage name or recording name when we were in our band days. Johnny.
Which
Hurricane.
I feel like I've mentioned that before, but
yeah, probably.
It probably bears repeating.
For new listeners.
So Johnny Theracane. I was like, when you come up with this stuff. Oh,
that is great.
But I'm like, well, it's true because you have me going like this. You have him foam rolling. My dad's got the lacrosse ball on his back going like this. And we're all like, whoa. Ooh,
I love the fact that he was like, you're going to your aunt's house, which is like 30 minutes away. He's like, should we bring the Theracane like with us? He didn't want to travel without it. Like, nah, they'll probably have one.
Oh my God. Yeah, actually, that's kind of funny. You think about it. It's like, should we bring the, what should we bring with us to this? Like, to this hour to, an hour in Rhode Island is, it's a day trip. So
sure.
Should we bring the Theracane for this day trip? Yeah, let's bring. Nah, they'll probably have one. It's just kind of like, oh, you think we should bring these cold beverages? Do you think they have a fridge there? Yeah, they probably have a fridge. They probably have a Theracane.
Oh, well, for more information on the Theracane, today's episode is sponsored by Theracane. Unfortunately, getting no kickback from Big Theracane this week. We're just giving them a bunch of free. I never even knew that was what it was called, but I have seen those before.
Yes, a therapy cane.
Therapy cane. Yeah, it's just
Therapy
a big
cane.
goofy looking thing, and you can.
It is.
It is. Back with it. But yeah, if you want more information on the Theracane, you can become part of our Theracane fan club for as little as $1 a month. You can support the show via Patreon or PayPal. Links are in the show notes in our website, deeppurplepodcast.com. Check it out. Every week we've got all the information we talk about, links, resources, further information, all that sort of stuff. So check it out. You can also leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Huge help. And you can buy merch on our Etsy store. And this week we just had a sale once again of another mug. And I'm wondering, it's from our good friend Jim Pabich, who you, I believe, have met, right? Did you meet him with Peter Gardeau?
Oh, maybe I did.
You might. I think you went to the show with him, right? Was he? I don't know because I wasn't there.
No, well, it's me neither.
But
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Me neither. I was there. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
you were trying to. Hang on. Can't remember because I have no.
I don't remember if he was at the show with you guys, but I know we have a good correspondence going via email, and this order just came through right as I was getting ready for the show today, and a much more reasonable shipping than our good friend Simon had to pay to get his shipped to the UK. So thank you for supporting the show, Jim. Do appreciate it.
Oh no, I didn't. I just had to look really quick back on our mutual friends, and I was with his friends Don and Mark.
Don and Mark. There you go. Okay, so Jim wasn't there. I just feel like Jim's like he's in that crew with Peter Gardeau. So I wasn't sure if
he was motley crew.
It is a motley crew indeed. But thank you for buying the mug, and hopefully domestic orders for the mugs are going to be much more reasonable. So we really do appreciate that. And speaking of our patrons, we have to thank them, of course, as always. This week Our executive level patrons at the Turn It Up to $11 tier, we have Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Alan Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and Mikkel Steen. At the $10 Someone Came tier, Steve Seaborg of NameOnAnything.com and AllTheWorldsAStage.net, Ryan M., Jeff Brees, Gerald Kelly, and of course, Victor Campos. Thank you so much for your support of the Deep Purple podcast. And I should say, Jeff Brees, no relation to Jill Brees, who is spelled differently. So there you go. All right. So this week we are coming at you. We are also talking, we were just talking right before the show, Dead Daisies, September 11th. We're still planning on going.
Hey, I haven't heard any cancellations yet.
Glenn Hughes is saying they're making their best effort to make everything happen. Things in Illinois are not great, but a lot better than they're going on in the American South right now. So hopefully, yeah, we'll go there. We might have masks on. We might be doing whatever. Who knows? But hopefully, we'll still be able to make this happen.
Be nice.
It'll be very nice. So who knows? Every day seems like something new. We've still got a little less than 4 weeks to go. So it's anybody's guess what could happen. So we'll see what happens.
I took the weekend off, so I'm doing something, damn it.
Exactly. Well, even if you're coming here and hanging out, or who knows? Hey, a weekend off is a weekend off, so we'll enjoy it. All right, this week we're talking about James Gang Miami. We did previously do James Gang Bang, their first album with Tommy Bolin. And that was, gotta look it up right here. See what episode that was. Episode number 58. We covered James Gang Bang. And now here we are covering the second and final installment in Tommy Bolin's run with the James Gang, and that is Miami. Do you have any prevailing memories of this album at all, or anything that like really sticks out to you about it?
No, I mean, not really. Other than that was obviously my collecting these albums for the fact that Tommy Bolin was on them. I think that maybe I wasn't aware how many he was on, but then I was like, all right, he's on Bang and Miami, and I can't even remember which order I got them in, but I just remember getting them, and it was just almost like for like completist purposes, you know what I mean? Like not I'm saying that the album was like not good, but I mean it just doesn't in my memory stand out as one of my favorites. But I mean I obviously did get it for the fact that it was Tommy, part of his catalog.
Yeah, it doesn't really, for some reason, I listened to this one a bunch, but it doesn't really stick out to me the same way that Bang did, off the top of my head anyway. But
well, I mean, a lot of it too is like the, if we're going to get to that next, the album cover is kind of, not really distinct. I remember thinking too that, I mean, I knew who James Gang was, and I was wondering if any of the songs on the two albums that Tommy Bolin was on were any of like the songs that I knew from classic rock radio,
like Funk 49.
Funk 40, yeah, exactly. But because in my mind, like that would have been like really cool. It's just like that whole time it was like him, and then somebody from my favorite band was like part of that song or whatever. But of course he was in the era of the band that was not as well known. So
yeah, I remember when I heard Tommy Bolin was in James Gang, and I knew Funk 49, and I heard Getting Tighter, which reminded me very much of Funk 49, like just the way he's doing that. I kind of made all those connections, and of course then quickly realized he wasn't on that song, and there was really no connection. Of course he probably played that song a ton, and I always wondered, is that song inspired by Funk 49? He played it all the time. Maybe he just changed it up a little bit and made it into something his own. I don't know, but it has enough similar. It's definitely its own song. It's not going to be considered like a copycat thing or anything, but it's got enough in common that it makes you wonder that. Like, makes me anyway.
I never thought of that.
It's possible. But yeah, not a ton of info on this album. We got some great information from our good friend Chris Schilt, who I hope I pronounced his name correctly, because I've learned I've been pronouncing it incorrectly. And he's we were kind of joking about it. He was like, basically, it's he said it's pronounced like shit with an L. So Chris Schilt. So I was like, okay. I'm not gonna. I was like, all right, I won't mention that. He said, no, please mention it. I was like, okay. So he's a great follow, by the way, if you're into Tommy Bolin and his stuff on Twitter. Posts tons of great pictures, and I think I talked about this on our last Tommy Bolin episode. Great pictures and information and little known facts and all sorts of stuff from Tommy Bolin's entire life. Really interesting stuff. So thanks a lot to Chris for his help in compiling, get me some images and pictures and information. Really, really appreciate it. And some of the stuff we'll talk about a little bit later. There's some interviews and stuff on tommybolin.com that you can check out. So anyway, in the spring of 1974, they head into the studio to record Miami. And then once again, we're seeing an album here where Tommy Bolin, it's the Tommy Bolin show once again. He's the chief songwriter. He writes or co-writes every song on the album. So he always has a pretty huge input. The personnel, it's the same personnel that we've seen in James Gang. There's been no turnover, but so you've got Dale Peters on bass, you got Jimmy Fox on drums, Tommy Bolin, obviously, and Roy Kenner on lead vocals. And then there's on one song, Albie Galutin, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, on synthesizer. And he was a record producer, composer, arranger, and he is noted for having created the first commercial drum loop, which they used in the Bee Gees track Staying Alive. So, very interesting stuff. He worked with the Bee Gees, Eric Clapton, Diana Ross, Barbra Streisand, Sammy Hagar, Cher, ton of different people. So interesting that he must have been hanging around. He's got a ton of credits on Discogs. The engineer for the album is Howie Albert, who worked with Dr. John, also the Bee Gees. So there's probably that connection there. And him and his brother, Ron Albert, were part of a production company called Fat Albert Productions. I wonder if when did Fat Albert come out, like the cartoon?
Like early 70s, I think.
Right. Like, so is this like, because they yeah, it says they originally came out in 1972 now that I'm looking at it. So knowing that Fat Albert existed, they named their company Fat Albert Productions, which is interesting. But anyway, so they did a bunch of projects together. The engineer was Steve Klein, who had worked with the Osmonds, Freddie King, Average White Band, and Ohio Players. Another engineer we have is Ken Haman, who worked previously with James Gang and Grand Funk. And then the producer is Tom Dowd. He has tons and tons and tons of entries on Discogs. He worked with Aretha Franklin, Otis Redding, Dr. John, many, many more, and sadly passed away in 2002. And then, mastering by Bob Ludwig, who's got like 6,000 plus entries on Discogs. So pretty cool stuff. Okay, so that brings us to the album cover, which you previously brought up as being kind of, pretty nondescript. So, I mean, what do you think of this album cover here?
Can't see it.
All right. Oh, it's doing its trick
It's doing
again.
the thing.
I even did that thing where I tried to share it with you earlier so I could avoid that, and lo and behold, it didn't work. But there
we go.
There's the album cover.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it's nondescript. It's just James Gang Miami in a plain white font with a pink flamingo, which, I mean, kind of, a little pink flamingo on the front, which kind of gets the point across. It's like, Miami flamingos. Like, I mean, there's really, honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's actually kind of memorable for how simple it is. When you think about it, I just think, it's that simple album cover with just the black and then the little pink flamingo on it. And that's pretty much it. So nothing much to say about it.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because they have a previous album called James Gang Rides Again, which is almost exactly the same album cover, except even more simplistic. which is this. It's they kind of inverted it. It's just white background with black writing. James Gang Rides Again. And then you've got this album, which is just the inverse with a black background with white writing, James Gang Miami, but they threw the little flamingo on there. I think it's great because it's very obviously very simple, very minimalistic, but it really gets the point across. You have a very different album from what you see in Bang, which is very busy with all these guys on the bed and all those crazy props around and all of this stuff going on. This one's just could not be more simple. James Gang Miami, boom, done. So it's one of those things that you look at and you're like, oh, it's so simple, anyone could do that, but it's probably like a master layout guy or digital artist who was able to put something like so simple like this together. And it harkens back to an earlier era of the band, which is obviously intentional. So the guy who did the cover art for this also did obviously the previous James Gang albums, but also worked with Joe Walsh rather on his solo project, and he also did Teaser with Tommy Bolin. So he's pretty well respected cover artist here. Then on the inside, on the sleeve, you've got the James Gang Miami, which is like this big postcard of some flamingos in a pool, really conjuring up the Miami image. And then on the flip side of it, which is interesting because I've got my James Gang Miami CD here, and on the inside of it is the exact same thing, which is it looks like the flip side of that postcard is the track listing, which is interesting. And then at the end it says "Love the Gang," and there's like a little paper clip with a picture of the band on it. And then interesting, I always thought when I got this CD and whatever, when was this came out, 95 or something, who knows, whenever they reissued it. It says, including the fan club kit, James Gang Flamingo t-shirt, personalized autograph. So if you want to join the James Gang fan club, they said send $4 for the kit to James Gang Flamingo fan club, 3101 Euclid Avenue, number 203, Cleveland, Ohio, 44115. So I was always wondered when I got the CD, I was like, could I still, we should send our $4 check in to that address and see if we can get our flamingo kit.
See what happens.
So you get a t-shirt, please state size, small, medium, or large, personalized autograph picture. So I wonder if there's anybody, if you're listening and you have all that stuff, like you got it, you got to let us know. Be pretty
not a bad deal for $4.
No, not bad. I mean, getting a t-shirt for $4 alone would be something, but so that's the inside, which is kind of cool. And then you got the record here, and then the back side of the album is just the reverse. Like you're looking at James Gang Miami, it's all reversed. The flamingo's reversed, the writing is backwards, but then it's got the track listing. So could not be a more simple little album package there, but pretty interesting stuff. That's it. Not much more other than, actually, I forgot to mention, Chris Schilt sent us some stuff, which here is the Flamingo fan club card. It says, this card certifies that you are an honorary member of the James Gang Flamingo fan club. And it just has name and address, and it's like, you fill it out. You send them the $4, they send you the card, you write your name and address on there. I don't know why you'd write your name and address on it, or what
to prove it.
If you have your address on there, can you use this as a form of ID?
So did you say where this was recorded in Miami, or like?
No, I don't think so.
Or was the band like based in Miami at some point? Like, I don't.
No, I don't know where the Miami thing comes from. It says it was oh no, I'm sorry, it was recorded and mixed at Criteria Recording Studio, Miami.
There you go.
So that's love Miami.
So they're just like, hey, we're in Miami. You want to call the album that? All right.
Exactly. Nice and simple. Maybe they were just really feeling the Miami vibes. They saw a lot of flamingos and they just wanted to keep going with that.
Hey, why not? because apparently everybody in the
They s-
James gang is a gangster.
They sound like a bunch of goombas. Here's a press release, Holiday in Miami, about the just kind of pumping up the album. To many people, Miami might conjure up lush images of waving palms, husky coconuts. They
Husky.
spelled it cocoa nuts, like COCOANUTS. Sandy beaches and long promenades. But to the James gang, Miami is home of Criterion Studios, and more important, Miami is the title of their latest dynamic album on Atlantic Records. So some huge marketing speak there. Some copies of the album, and of course the record sleeve again, and then that insert little blow up there about the Miami was a quiet place until the James gang arrived. So there you go.
The kid loved the gang.
Love the gang.
Oh,
So that's it. That's a nice little package there. I like the little theme they're going with. But here we go. We ready to cut into some of the album tracks on Miami?
you remember that wrestler, like the one man gang?
No, I don't.
And they'd be like, here it comes. And you hear the announcer be like, oh, here comes the gang, and you turn around and just be like one huge guy. And you'd be like,
And he had kind of like a mohawk.
I can't remember. I just remember think it's funny because you just hear them like, oh no, here comes the gang. And instead of like several people, it'd just be like one big man. And you just like, I don't know.
The one man gang.
The one man is just like, he's so dangerous. He's like many people pummeling you with his fists.
Was he really big? Was he a big dude? I mean, it would make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I found a picture of him right here, but he's standing next to Andre the Giant, so it's not a good indicator of how big he is. He looks a little small. Well, actually, I mean, God, he comes up to like, his head is like at like lip level for Andre the Giant, so he must be a pretty big
probably
boy.
big. Yeah. Anybody is small. Anybody is small next to Andre.
It's weird. I see a picture of him like with a mohawk on. He looks kind of like a biker, and there's also a picture of him where he looks kind of like he's dressed in like African garb, like he'd be in like a Queen Latifah video from like the late 80s or early 90s. So I'm like, well, I don't know what his vibe is that he's going for.
Maybe he was fluid,
Yeah, he's just whatever the
He could
gang
just-
needs to be.
Exactly. I mean, if the gang is many people, maybe he just had many different looks. I don't know.
Yeah, he's like the village people. Any day he can be a different part of the gang. Today I'm like African royalty. Tomorrow I'm a biker dude. It could be anything. That's what I appreciate about the one man gang. After being reminded of him by you for the first time in
many years.
Been a long time since I've watched any wrestling.
All right, so yeah, sorry about that whatever detour there.
Oh no, we love the one man gang.
Are
we ready to get into these tracks?
Yes.
All right. Well, not so fast. Hold the phone, because you know what we got to do first. We have to thank our core level patrons. Coming in at the $7.77 Keep It Warm Rat tier, Michael Vader. At the $7 No One Named tier, Richard Fusey. At the episode $6.66 tier, oops, I left Richard there. He's in two tiers. Steve Coldwell and Arthur Smith. At the $6.65 Almost Evil tier, Kenny Wymore. At the $5.99 Nice Price tier, we have Fielding Fowler and Dr. Jill Brees. And at the $5 Moneylender tier, we have Greg Sealby, John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Alman, Alexei the Perfect Stranger Slepikoff, James North, Mark Hodgetts, Kev Roberts, Will Porter, Swapper the Electric Alchemist, and Tim Southern Cross Johnson. Oh, thank you to all of you so much for your support of the Deep Purple podcast. All right. Well, when John is wondering
still ready to get into those tracks.
He's still ready. He's still ready to get in those tracks. But more importantly, when John is going to visit his aunt in Newport, and he and his brother are getting a little antsy about whether or not she has a Theracane, they do it one way, and that's by cruising down the highway. So you got like a predominant acoustic with like an electric backing it up in the back. Call and response from Tommy on the guitar.
Oh, I forgot about this part.
Yeah, right. Mixes it up with a little rollicking piano. It's been a while since I listened to this album.
You boost that volume just a little bit.
Surely.
There we go. It's got a nice, like, kind of laid back rockin' vibe to it.
I think of what it reminds me of.
I really like this part. Well, he's going nuts with that morning.
Always. And this song is written by Bolin and Peters.
I mean, it's definitely got a stamp all over it.
Oh, this part sounds a little not traditional Tommy. Like
Yeah, but you could tell it's him on the guitar though.
Oh yeah, the guitar playing for sure. Just like that little part where they speed it up and then start singing about things about cars, like a V8 or whatever. And this was a single release with the song Miami Two Step as the B-side.
Oh, I like that. They just end with like just a fade out of like a long ass solo.
Just fading out on Tommy's outro solo there.
I like that.
Cool.
That felt kind of short.
Yeah,
Huh?
I was only a little over 3 minutes, so it's a pretty short tune.
Good opener.
All right. How would you rank Cruising Down the Highway?
I'm gonna give that one a 4. I found it
All
very pleasant. You know, for all the reasons that I said. I liked how they changed that up with that chorus, the little kind of like rockin' honky tonk thing, and then they just kind of slowed down to that halftime thing, and with Tommy, doing his thing, and then that long solo. I forgot that it was so, it was so long, and they ended on it, so that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like the vibe of the song. It worked,
Yeah, it's a good track. I'll give it a 3.5. I also enjoyed it. Yeah, it kind of almost weird, like that transition into that little sped up part, but it was interesting. It's an interesting album opener because it's not like I wouldn't call it like a big opening rocker, but it creates a cool that kind of effect of that acoustic guitar with maybe playing an electric behind it a little bit. That's something that Kiss did a lot, right? They'd have that like acoustic guitar like in the front with the electrics in the back, which is not like common practice, or maybe it's more common than I realize, but
no, in the early days they did.
Definitely a really cool effect that it does, and you don't hear it, especially these days. You don't really hear it done that much. But yeah, cool. Cruising Down the Highway. Next track up is called Do It. Oh yes, this is a great Bolin riff. I think this is on the Ultimate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this track. Not to give too much away too early.
Something about the way that this album is produced, where it's like the songs aren't heavy, but they kind of are in a way. You know what I mean? Like
a little bit of a production tweak. This could be a super heavy song.
But I mean, they got like, it's just got a good groove to it. It's just a good, good rocking song. And he's got a little bit of an overdriven thing in his vocals there.
Yeah, it's kind of distorting a bit. Oh,
I love that
in the background.
Oh yeah, nobody's doing that.
Spaceship taking off.
I thought that was so cool when I first heard that. I was like, how did he do that?
He's like doing volume swells on the volume knob, and they're also panning it back and forth between the left and right speaker there. Yep. I have a very intimate memory of this song. Got that cowbell on the right channel is just going nonstop. That classic Tommy Bolin trick is like bouncing back and forth between the two speakers.
Oh yeah,
repeating the lick.
I mean, this is another one where it's like an extended solo, and he's just like letting loose. The whole band.
He's like, well, why not? He's like, at this point, he was the James Gang. He said, I'm writing all the songs. I think I'm going to write another extended guitar solo. Sounds good.
And look at this again. He's just like ripping this awesome solo and just like fades out on it again. Like no ending chorus or anything.
Nope. No,
two songs in a row.
It's just, and who knows how long that would have gone on in the studio.
And that was awesome. I remember that was one of my favorites on The Ultimate.
Yeah.
I mean, reason they put it on.
Yep. It's a great track. Where do you rank this one?
I got to give that one a 4.5. That one was like probably, I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, we could look at it, but I mean, I can't remember how many were on The Ultimate, but it was one of my favorites, of the James Gang tracks. I don't know how many James Gang tracks they had on it, but this one was definitely like, I was like, wow. Because I liked the Tommy Bolin kind of like, reckless abandon solo thing, and the band was like, kind of going nuts.
I think on The Ultimate he had well, let's take a look right here. He had Alexis, Standing in the Rain, Spanish Lover, and Do It, this one. So four James Gang tracks.
Wow. Well represented. Yeah. Well, this was definitely one of my favorites.
For sure. Yeah. I will mirror your 4.5. This song was definitely something that really stuck out to me. And do you remember when Paul and I wrote and recorded the song Gambling Guy?
Mm-hmm.
very, very I don't even very heavily influenced by this song. I mean, it's got the little instrumental break. I mean, it was basically me trying to do this song in a different, and just kind of flip it a little bit. It was obviously just a funny song. It was just us writing a song, just the old trope of the song about the gambler. It's like, oh, he's gambling. He's gambling all the time. So of course Paul's involved, so it's not going to be serious. And so we did like the instrumental part of this was like, it's a similar riff, and then we did a little breakdown. And it was just, it was not gambling man, but gambling guy, and talking about just how much. And we just kept throwing in like little terms about Paul wrote most of the lyrics, just like terms about gambling and like using some of them wrong, or just not really understanding what they mean. And he's talking about 3-card Monty, and and then the best part is he goes he says give me 5 on red, and then the drums are like they go, it's like a drum roll, and it goes that 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 that, like it's a roulette wheel slowing down. And then he's like, and then he loses on it, and then in the background you hear somebody go, so close, which we always thought was hilarious, because it's like, it's either red or it's black, so like how close could it be, that's a good one.
I thought you were going to tell me when he lost and he went, shit. Which, that was the creative choice I would have made, because I'm crass that way.
You are crass. We just thought it was funny that you'd be like on a any sort of game where it's like a yes or no situation, to be like, almost had it. Would have had it if it went the other way. But anyway, Do It. It's a great track. Love it. Love that guitar riff. I'll have to dig up my copy of Gambling Guy, and we can listen to it later. Next track up is a track called Wildfire. This is written by Bolin and John Tissar again.
You got the bass kind of this fluid grooving thing in the back.
This riff sounds like it could be like a Deep Purple riff, but the way it's recorded, kind of like we talked about in the first song, is it doesn't sound as heavy as it could be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the vocals have a lot of personality in them.
Yeah, listen to that.
Like, I mean, he's really going for it. Yeah. Oh yeah. He's also got a lot of effects on him too.
A great little funky breakdown they go into, though. I just find myself kind of curious at the production choices of making the guitar sound so it just sounds tame, more tame than you'd expect it to be in a song like this.
Yeah.
But here we go into this funky part again. The Plex is warming up in the background there. We love to hear it, folks.
Classic Bolin way to start a solo. Ooh, 2 for 1.
I think we're getting into the same territory we've seen twice before, as he's just going to ride out a solo again, and probably with a fade out. I mean, is there anything better, though, than a fading out Bolin solo? I mean, such a great way to end a song.
Look at that, 3 for 3.
Yep, and they're all about the same length. They're all within like 10, 15 seconds of each other as far as song length go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like the fact that the songs aren't too long, you just
No.
get to, it's like, all right, nice little few minutes there, and then move on to the next one.
Exactly. All right, Wildfire. What do you think of that one?
That feels like a 3.5. Whoa, I put in the wrong one. Feels like a 3.5 to me. I think that the verses are a little bit repetitive.
Yeah.
It just kind of plods along a little bit, but I don't know, like the kind of the breakdown and then Tommy's solo carrying it out kind of saves it. So that's what it kind of elevates it a little bit.
Yeah, I think you've convinced me to change my rating to a 3.5 as well. I was kind of go with a 3, but you're right. That little funk breakdown, which is really brief, which is cool because it leaves you wanting more, and then going back to, but it doesn't really have a chorus. It's more just like that little. It feels like it's a pre-chorus, but then it's like, we're just gonna go back to the verse, and then you think, okay, on the next one though, they're gonna go into a chorus, but then it just does it again, and then they don't go into a verse. So I feel like, and again, I think, like, I don't want to knock the production on this album. I don't think it sounds bad, but it feels like less in your face than it could be. Like, it feels like it should be a little more up front and center, where it feels like the guitars, like they're miking them too far away or something. I don't know what it is.
Well, I don't know. I kind of get the feeling like of from, like, say, Private Eyes, like a song like Post Toasty or something like that, where I don't know, maybe that was like, and I mean, Tommy had a lot of writing credits. I don't know how much input he had in the production or whatever, but I just feel like a lot of his different works, like and I won't count Deep Purple, because that he actually was, he had really like dirty, like kind of heavy guitars and that, like like Dealer, something like that. But a lot of his solo stuff was really kind of like really kind of mellow sounding almost,
Yeah.
And I mean, this kind of feels that way too.
I love that. Still, like songs like Alexis or something, it sound great. But even like a song like Alexis, like if you think about how the guitars sound, they sound very forward. They sound like they're in your face. Like, even though it's an acoustic guitar, just that beginning little acoustic part, it sounds like you're right in the room. This one, it sounds like it's across the room, or it's like a little farther away. It's not like bad. It just seems, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it has the same bite as some of the other stuff does. Even on a song like
his solos do, though.
His solos are great. The playing is great and they sound great, but I think it's maybe just the rest of the guitars. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm making a criticism saying it. I just feel like it. I never really noticed it until this listen, but it just sounds more separate, or more far away than I'm used to it sounding.
Right.
There we go. Anyway, next track up is the track Sleepwalker. Some nice more volume swells.
Know your craft, sleepwalker. You are just another shadow. Glide on down that quiet hall and wait for your baby's call.
Oh, okay. I had to look up the lyrics.
Know your craft, sleepwalker, and they'll think
That's nice. How that kicks in.
sound the same. My being here,
That must be like just like a really dirty synth, just like holding a note in the background. It sounds like.
It
I had to look up the
thickens
lyrics.
sound, yeah.
I had to look at the lyrics because when he says know your craft, sleepwalker. I thought he thought it was know your crap, sleepwalker. That's a really weird way to open up a song. This sounds like this could be like a real classic, like the way that they work that beginning part. Sounds like they're going for something like a Stairway to Heaven kind of vibe, but they don't make you wait until the band kicks in right away, rather than dragging out that whole intro section for whatever 3 minutes, 4 minutes until the band kicks in.
Right.
Which isn't a bad thing, because that can, songs like that can get a little like, okay, we get it. You're trying to make this epic song.
Yeah.
Just sounds like a bass line.
Now I can't think. Now I can't stop hearing it. Know your crap, sleepwalker.
Gotta know your crap. I mean,
You better know your crap, sleepwalker.
it's the good life if you're Norwegian moment of this album.
Oh, you really laughed at that one.
That's an all-time. You gotta listen to episode number 58 for that one. It's an all-time highlight of the Deep Purple podcast.
Forgot about that.
That's a really. That'd be a synth, right?
Well, I don't know. Now I'm wondering if it's a bass.
That's what I was just thinking, but the sustain of it is so.
No, it was like like a bass.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a very outstanding effect.
Oh, it's great. Maybe it is a bass, but I don't know how he's getting it to sustain that much. Like the notes, he's just like holding that one solid note. It's not fading away.
Or it's mirroring the bass,
Oh, maybe, yeah.
and it sounds like it could be the bass. Like it's just like going like so like they're so perfectly in sync.
Yeah, and he's got like a fuzz effect on the bass, so it kind of blends in a little bit.
Either way.
Interesting. Cool track. Sleepwalker. What do you say, John?
I'm gonna go with the 3 on this one. I mean, it had some cool stuff in it, but overall, it was just kind of like the overall song was not really, didn't really grab me that much. Although I think like the guitar intro and everything is just like the, classic like Tommy Bolin. You could tell it's like Tommy wrote it. Like I was actually wondering if he was going to sing, like if he was going to, because it sounded like something else that he had written before. And then the, when you go into the chorus before they say sleepwalker, the kind of the guitar melody that he does, like another classic kind of like Tommy thing, really cool. But it was just kind of cool parts to it. But overall, like, and of course that synth bass whatever effect was really grabbed me too, but not the whole song.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Three for me as well. I think it doesn't. I really like the chorus. I think it's a great chorus, but it seems a little underdeveloped. Like it could have more to it. But a good catchy tune. I feel like I'm probably gonna have that one stuck in my head for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to the last track on the first side, which is the song Miami Two Step, the B-side to the opener of the Cruising Down the Highway. Here we go. So obviously, this track sounds more like an interlude than anything else.
Right. Another one of those songs that we have seen where it's a interlude or an intro or something.
It's very interesting that they make this the B-side to Cruising Down the Highway because it's so short. It's almost over. It's a minute and a half. It's kind of the first track that has a non-fade out ending. It's interesting. Like, I don't know why they would select. I mean, it's cool. It's a nice, cool little kind of like shuffling blues thing, but it's very weird. Like if you do Cruising Down the Highway and then you flip it over and that's the B-side, you're like, well, why wouldn't they put another song?
Right.
I mean, not that that's not a song, but you know what I mean.
A full song.
Right. So Miami Two Step. What do you say?
I don't usually love these short things, but I mean, I thought that was kind of cool. I liked it. It was like a kind of a bluesy country-ish type of thing. And just like just enough for me not to dislike it because I don't like country, but yeah, it made me think a lot of like I'm kind of wondering if years later there's a song that reminds me of it on the second Badlands album called Joe's Blues, which is kind of the same thing. It's just like kind of has the same tempo. It's all acoustic, but it has that kind of same kind of tempo feel to it. He was going for the same thing, and I think Tommy Bolin was one of Jakey Lee's influences, if I'm not wrong.
Quite possible.
So I mean, that could, that's what it made me think of. And I mean, that was like came out 91 or something like that. So that was, like, was it almost 20 years after? But yeah, I thought it was a cool little interlude.
Yeah,
a cool piece of music.
I think it's the Beatles used to do this a lot. And it's one thing I always really liked, which is just they have this little thing that's maybe underdeveloped and they just tack it onto an album or tack it as an intro to a song or an interlude between songs or whatever. And I always thought that was cool. Rather, like, some of those things could just die in the studio or just get left on the cutting room floor. But I thought it always adds a little character to an album to include something like this, where it's not track. It's odd to release it as a B-side, but it's one of those things that, we got this little cool thing and we never developed it into a song. And honestly, if you developed this and extended it into a 4-minute song and put some just generic vocals over it, it would almost cheapen what they've got here, which is a nice, cool little groove. Just let it be for what it is and move on. So I give it a 3. I think it's fun. It's fun to listen to. It's a fun way to kind of close out a side. And that's all I got about that. Which brings us up to the second side. Opens up. So I guess I have these as 2 separate songs. I guess maybe we should rank them as 2 different songs. In the spreadsheet, they're not as 2 different songs. So I'll fix that while we're listening to it. The first track is Prelude. Actually, how is it on the CD? Yeah, on the CD, they're both on the same track, but on the album, they're. It's very weird why they do this, but on the album, The
Hmm.
original album, it has them as two different tracks. But anyway, it's Prelude and then Red Skies. Prelude spelled Praylude. So we'll play on words there from the old gang. So here we go. We'll start off with Prelude as I rework this spreadsheet to list them separately. Here we go. It's a cool little, I don't know if that's sounds a little too bright to be a Fender Rhodes, but some sort of. And the part definitely sounds like a prelude. I don't know if that what kind of electric piano that is. This whole thing is
Nice.
written by Bolin alone. These two tracks. Oh, beautiful.
Almost has like this kind of Pink Floyd feel to it, huh?
Yes, yeah. Almost sounds a little bit like Dogs.
Yeah, right. Something off Animals. Yeah. I really like Bolin bringing out his kind of jazzy playing. That's it.
Yeah, well, he did some little sweeps there.
And actually almost makes me think of like, early like Tony Iommi. Because he did that kind of like
Yes.
jazzy type of stuff like that too.
Like what is it? Like Laguna Sunrise, not Laguna Sunrise. What's the track I'm thinking of that's like Bit of Finger or something? I can never remember any of the names of Black Sabbath songs.
Maybe it's something from Polka Tulk
What?
or Earth.
Oh.
No, I think that was like was that the name of like one of his early bands before Sabbath.
Earth, yeah. Well, Earth was
No, not Earth. It was Polka Tulk.
Polka Tulk. That I'm not familiar with.
Rye, where are you?
So I don't know. Now I'm thinking we should have kept these as one song, but that's the.
Yeah, I typed it in. I Googled Polka Tulk and Black Sabbath came up. So it's
They
definitely
must-
related somehow.
You must mean Black Sabbath.
Well, what the hell? No, what other like iterate like how else do those two words ever come together like in the English language?
Is it polka like Polka and then
Yeah.
Tulk is Tulk?
Yeah, which
The
the
heck is
second
Tulk?
one isn't even a way. I don't know.
Is that like is it because he was in Jethro Tull? He just like decided to. I was like, I'm gonna make a rival band called Polka Tulk instead of Jethro Tull.
There was the Polka Tulk Blues Band.
Polka Tulk. I like Black Sabbath a little better.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
we're gonna play "Bit of Finger" by by Polka Tulk.
I know if you played Bit of Finger for me right now, I'll instantly know it. But like off the top of my head, couldn't tell you what that song even sounds like. I just
Oh, you know
I'm
what?
so
It's
bad with the names of their songs.
no,
Listened to
hang
those
on.
albums so many times.
This was from now that we're trying to figure out which Sabbath song it sounded like. I think it was something off Paranoid. Planet Caravan.
Planet Caravan, yes, that's it. Yep.
There we go. I had to do a little quick look at the titles, but yep. So yeah, it definitely had that kind of
Would have been a couple years before this, so possible there's some influence there, but really cool. I love stuff like that. Like I talked about in the last song, I love little things like that thrown on that are not like maybe full complete ideas, but they really jazz up the album. So what do you think of Prelude?
Literally, it jazzes it up.
That's true. And figuratively.
Yep. Whoa. So that was just Prelude,
That
not
was
Red Skies.
just Prelude. Red Skies is yet to
Okay.
be.
Well, that was another, I thought it was really well done. I'll
Mhm.
give it a 3.5. Very, very mellow, very well done. Very like, I mean, think of the first couple of songs that the album started off on, and now this. I mean, it's obvious. Tommy Bolin is a very versatile guitar player,
Mhm.
and this just proves it.
For sure. I will give it, believe it or not, a 4.
Hmm.
I
I was
really,
considering
really
a 4, but
dug the groove of it. I love anything that reminds me of animals, and the Pink Floyd album, not the living organisms. Nothing against animals.
not the living organisms.
I love anything that reminds me of animals. Nothing against animals. I just they're good. They're just not as good as the Pink Floyd album. But yeah, it's a great little groove. Really cool. Love the little. He's transitioning between bluesy and jazzy, and yeah, it sounds great. I like the vibe of it. I like the kind of darkish sounding electric piano. It's really cool. Which brings us to what the song, the prelude comes into, the postlude, which is Red Skies. Sounded like that song off of Whoosh. Which song was it?
Yeah, the vocals definitely have this distortion on them too. They're really overdriven. It's really a kind of a cool effect. I like it. It makes them, adds this heaviness to it.
The song I'm thinking, I think, is The Long Way Round, that it reminded me of the beginning of this. We know Ian Gillan's a big Tommy Bolin fan, so. So far, this is a weird song, but it's really cool.
Right?
Just kind of the little hammer onto the fifth, and then the sneaky move up to the octave. Nice.
A balloon.
Balloon. Oh, that's tight. Reminds me of a Megadeth transition.
That's funny. The amount of times that you have referenced Megadeth on this podcast. I mean, even once is like, to compare him to Deep Purple or anybody related is like kind of like what? But I mean, you make a good point though.
The ending kind of sounded like Jesus Christ Superstar, that abrupt ending, and it just ends. And it's weird because that boom, bang, dun, 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 boom. Everything was set up for like, oh, I knew what they're doing. They're going into a classic Tommy Bolin outro. He's gonna be like going and just doing all of his classic stuff, bringing in the echoplex. But then they don't. They just end it right there, and it's kind of it's like both. It leaves you wanting more, but then you're kind of disappointed too, because it's like, man, I can't believe they missed an opportunity to just lay on a huge Tommy Bolin thing where he's just doing all of his classic runs and licks, and I don't know. I can't decide if I love it or hate it, because it would have been a cool place to shove in some more solos. But what do you think of Red Skies?
I'll give it a 3.5. I think it's good. It's heavy. It's different. Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to remember this album a lot more, listening to it and thinking like, this is definitely, the album that I'm finding now. I think this one I actually liked better of the two James Gang albums that he was on. I mean, the ratings may, defy that. I can't remember what I rated the other one, but
right. Yeah, I always thought that, but then when we listened to Bang, and I thought, or we did our episode on Bang a while back, I thought maybe I like Bang better, but I guess we'll see. We'll see how it stacks up. I will give this one I'll give this one a 4. I think it was really, I thought it was a very, just mostly based on just how unusual and outside the box it is. It almost feels like this was like an early demo that they hadn't quite fleshed out yet, and they just figured they'd throw it on the album. But I kind of like that about it. That if they had made it go in a different direction, maybe I wouldn't have liked it as much. I would have loved to hear just Tommy rip a solo at the end there, but not that there's any super shortage of his solos on this, but there hasn't been a solo yet where he's just going all out. It's mostly been really tasteful, works well with the songs, which is good. But I kind of just waiting for that one song where he's just gonna just let loose and completely just go for broke. But he does, God, for somebody his age, he would have been what, 22, 23 at this point. To be that talented, that good a guitar player, and have that level of restraint and control and thinking for the song and for the album. You don't see a lot of that in young, cocksure guitar players. And that's another reason why he's so great. All right. That brings us to the next track on this album, the middle track, Spanish Lover.
She was brown as this good earth, with eyes that flashed like lightning.
We said earlier this was on the Ultimate, right?
When she
I think so, yeah.
So I feel like this is one that this was on the Ultimate. This is one that I know I've heard a million times more than other songs on the album.
She was slender.
And this was co-written by Jeff Cook. Bolin almost owns the whole second side of this album. He co-wrote this song and he co-wrote the final song with Peters. And the other three he wrote solo.
As she laughed about the way she conquered.
I'm just wondering if like the other guys in the James Gang were just like, we don't have any freaking ideas. You write it. I mean, Jeff Cook wasn't even in the band, and he's like, they're just like, yeah, let me take the
Yeah, you got
use that
Do It.
song with Jeff Cook.
He Do It was a co-write with Kenner. Cruising Down the Highway was co-write with Peters. Miami Two Step they credit Fox and Peters on because it was just them doing a blues jam. And then the last song with Peters, but so the other guys in the James Gang only had 4 of the 6 songs as co-writes. So you've got another. So Bolin and Cook wrote Alexis, and this sounds like a let's try to do that again sort of thing. Get that same vibe.
Eyes that flashed like lightning when she spoke of sinful quests. The words were almost frightening. She was my
Bolin's voice works great on this song.
Spanish lover, so gracefully insane, and with no traces of shame. She was like no other. She was like no other. She was like no other.
All right, that was Spanish Lover by James Gang. I feel so mellow right now. And it's really late, so I feel like I could be going to sleep.
Yeah,
That was my
me too.
sleep meditation, unintentional sleep meditation there.
Oh,
All right, Spanish Lover. What do you think?
Trace,
Trace.
get it for Spanish? Yeah.
I get it.
All right. So yeah, Spanish Spanish Lovers. It's not bad, but it's not one of my favorite kind of Tommy Bolin, lead vocal, acoustic guitar compositions. You know, I liked Alexis better.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're like, saying like, oh, I wonder if this was the answer to, the trying to be like the sequel of Alexis,
Yeah.
But I mean, Tommy's got so many different songs like these, and this one is just kind of maybe missed the mark a little bit for me.
Yeah, not the number one.
No, but I mean, he definitely, like, I can recognize that he's got like this definitive, like, he is like his vocals or like his lyrics, the way he puts things together, I think they're really unique,
Mhm.
So I mean, I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you on that one and go with a 3 as well. I think it's it's a nice mellow song. I like listening to it, but yeah, it's nothing. There's not much about it that really jumps out to me as being anything super extra. Like it's a good solid acoustic song, but yeah, as far as being I mean, to me, Alexis is one of the greatest songs ever written. So it's not going to stack up in that regard in my eyes. But I don't know if they went in with the intention of trying to make an Alexis style song. But yeah, it's good. It just doesn't, to me, it doesn't have the build and release that Alexis does. It's just that kind of one steady throughout the whole. It's just kind of going in this one steady stream the whole time. It doesn't have a ton of dynamics to it, which is fine. It just, for me, that's why a song like Alexis has that great outro. It's got this great chorus, these like heavy parts, these great guitar licks. And this is, a solid song, but not on that level to me. Not that it has to be compared to Alexis, but that's, I guess, what we're doing. All right. Do you have your window open over there? Are you feeling some summer breezes?
Nah, I got it closed.
You got to close. You feeling from the fan? Oh, there's a fan.
Yeah, I get some summer breezes from the fan,
Okay,
recirculating stale air.
Hopefully we're not recirculating a stale song with this one. Summer breezes. With that kind of like frantic opening. Probably the earliest introduction of in any song in Tommy Bolin history. It's basically like on the 3 and of the count-in. It's already doing it. This is another solo Bolin composition.
Huh. The little melody there, the guitar melody that's like very catchy. It's like a good hook for the song.
Yep.
And it's really kind of upbeat.
But again, I feel like it's got this whole album to me has this distant kind of feeling to it.
Yeah, I was going to say, this sounds really soft. Like the vocals are really pulled back.
Everything is. And maybe it's just, this is my, whatever, mid-90s release CD. Maybe on a remastered, it would be a little bit more upfront.
Maybe.
It doesn't jump out at me the way that, the same setup we listen to everything on. Last week we listened to like cassette recordings of demos that Glenn Hughes did for Play Me Out, so it's not like definitely didn't overstay their welcome on that song. 2 minutes and 40 seconds in and out. Done.
Boom. Done.
There you have it. Summer breezes. What do you think of Summer breezes?
I'll blow in here with a 3 for Summer breezes. Had a good hook to it, but as we were mentioning, the production was kind of And I don't know, like to you, did it sound like another kind of like song idea that could have been developed like a little bit more?
And it could be like I said, they went into the studio right away. I'm sure Tommy Bolin's obviously doing all the heavy lifting here, so they could have just, it could have been a time crunch and say, well, I got this song, let's do this and get it done. If they'd had a little more time to work out some of these songs, maybe they could have fleshed them out a little bit more. I mean, they're all good tunes on this album, but it sounds a little bit more like rushed, or like they just had like a little more incomplete, which is just kind of what everything is creatively, right? You just eventually you either abandon what you're doing, or you have to say, okay, this is a wrap and we're gonna release it the way it is.
Right.
But yeah, I will agree with your 3. I think it's solid. It's again, I guess I'm leaning towards criticism of the production now, where it's just like I feel like it just doesn't feel in my face enough.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
Not in our face enough.
Not in our face. I want Bolin in my face, that guitar. All right. The last track on the album is Head Above the Water. Kind of sounds like a little bit of a warble in the recording there.
Maybe someday you'll get back on your feet again. Maybe someday you'll find a way not to get fooled again.
Sounds like a Wild Dogs type of.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. But I like his guitar. The fidelity on his guitar recording sounds. It doesn't sound great, but it sounds like intentionally done that way. It's made to sound almost like
Right.
a little more tinny, a little more warbly, and it's kind of a cool effect. It sounds like one of those things that's they're gonna flip a switch, it's gonna kick in and.
They call you a fool and use you as a tool, so look straight ahead.
Now you got the bass kicking in, the drums both sound really clear and present, and the guitar is very distant sounding. And this is the song with the synthesizer.
Just believe in yourself. Don't care about nobody else. Try to keep your head above the water, my friend.
Kind of like a Hendrixy sort of riffing that he's doing with the guitar there.
Oh yeah.
Really distant and kind of wah. Sounds like he's got a wah on there.
Yeah.
It sounds like, head above the water. I don't know if that's intentional. It sounds like a kind of a, like a aquatic sort of effect on the guitar. I really like the synth effects that they're bringing in the end here.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a chilling, kind of haunting effect to end the album with.
Yeah, right.
All right, John. How do you rank Head Above the Water?
I'll give it a 3. Yeah, I just think these last few songs haven't really been hitting me, they just kind of are just there,
Mhm.
I guess.
Yeah, they're very mellow.
Yeah, and nothing wrong with that, and they get some great playing in it, and they got some great dynamics, but it's just like I don't know if the songs just don't hit me, or if they just are kind of suffering from that whole thing that we've been talking about, is just like, oh, it feels like an unfinished idea type of thing, or whatever. But for whatever reason, it's just not 100% grabbing me enough to want to really you know be like, yeah, that's it.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah, we've been pretty locked in on a lot of these songs, and I'll agree with you and also give this one a 3. I think it's a mellow end to the album, but I feel like it didn't this album was mostly mellow, especially on the second side. Like it would have been I would have loved to hear a little bit, like the production, like I said, be a little more in your face, and hear maybe a couple more rockers on the song on the album. But it's I think it's a cool, great album that just kind of have on in the background and chill out to. It's like I said, just not as many rockers.
Mm.
So before we get into where this album stacks up in the overall archives here, or whatever you want to call it, the collection of our album reviews, we have to, of course, thank our foundation level patrons. Coming in at the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier: Peter Gardot, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Anton Glaving, Andrew Meyer, Duncan Leask, Stuart McCord. And at the $1 made up name tier: Els Murders, Spacey Noodles, The Less Than Tight Leaky Mausoleum, Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 Fanatic, Raf Calf, Spike the Rocket Cat, JJ Stenard, Hank the Tank, and Flight of the Rat Bat Blue Light. Thank you to all of you for your support of the Deep Purple podcast. All right, John. So where does this album stack up in our overall rankings?
Well, it's a little lower on the spectrum. Oddly enough, I didn't expect it to be this low. I got a 6.9.
Okay.
Combined, which put. Why are you doing this to me?
What am I
Which
doing?
no, I'm talking to the sheet. I don't know if you're
Okay.
doing anything.
I don't think I'm doing anything. That's why I'm.
Yeah, so it's kind of like on the middle bottom of our rankings here. It's actually it's between Whoosh and Elf debut.
Okay.
But oddly enough, I said, I think that I like this album more. So if you look, Bang did rank higher, but I ranked Bang higher overall. I gave this a 3.45. Bang, I rated 3.72.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of I guess there must be some songs on here that stand out more to me, but I mean overall, I guess I must have liked Bang a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I said, Bang had a little bit more dynamics, a few more rockers on it, and some really, really great ones. In this one, like I agree with you. I kind of felt like a little bit more strongly about this before going into it, because it was something I would play a little bit more often, I think, than Bang, and have it on in the background. And for that, it's kind of good. But looking at it more critically, I agree. I think I think Bang is a better album.
Or maybe like, after the first few songs, I was thinking like, oh, that I can't remember, but if the whole album is going to be like this, then I'll probably like it better. And,
Yeah.
nope. So there you go.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. Well, there you have it, folks. Another album in the bag. And I got a ton of notes afterwards to this album. I don't think we're going to get into all of it, but I'll definitely have some of it in the show notes for you. But this was released in July of 1974. It made it to number 97 on the album charts. And then the word here is that on its release, it was a little disappointing to fans of Bang. The material on this album was not viewed as being as strong, and I think that's kind of what the conclusion that we came to. Whenever I see something like that, I'm usually like, what do they know? And then here we are having kind of the same view. Jim Fox had some stuff that I'll put some links to some great interviews on TommyBolin.com that Chris Schilt sent me. and Miami. Jim Fox talking about Miami, saying it was a very difficult record to make. Nearly 40 years later, he remembers it being very challenging. Roy Kenner was going through a lot of personal troubles at the time, drug issues, things like that. So there was, it seemed like that nobody in the studio is Tommy Bolin has often kind of said his time in the James Gang was for a paycheck and things like that. So it sounded like there, from reading different interviews and things, that maybe nobody was 100% kind of there mentally for this album. So that could be part of it. This review from Jim Sheridan of Miami says the follow-up Miami is equally interesting. Tommy gets a few spotlights. The instrumental Miami two-step is a Doc Watson-ish acoustic number with some slide careening in at the end, while Prelude Red Skies lets Tommy dip as deeply into the jazz licks bag as he ever would with the James Gang. The latter track is actually a song Tommy brought from his previous band Energy, whose version of the track appeared on From the Archives Volume 1. The riffs from Teaser has its roots in Do It, which contains some smooth slide work. Spanish Lover features Tommy's lead vocal, a beautifully dreamy number that again stands out in the intensity and individuality of the singing. This is the Bolin that Tommy fans look to hear. Two other songs that deserve praise for their majestic vision are Sleepwalker and especially Head Above the Water, which foreshadows Wild Dogs. There you go. These discs are both fully realized, atmospherically charged works that demand to be heard. So these discs, he's talking about this and Bang. So Bolin left the band almost exactly when this album was released. Bolin says, I called my manager, Mike Belkin, in Cleveland, and I told him I was quitting. Bolin revealed, and he told me that I was shortchanging myself because of the band's potential to make good money. I told him I wasn't happy anymore, and there wasn't much he could say about that. So there you go. With that, Tommy Bolin's out of James Gang, and that's the end of the gang. At least Tommy's stay in the gang. That's it. There you have it. James Gang, Miami.
Yeah, they have it.
There you have it. There you have it.
I'm toast.
There you have. Yeah, we're both toast. It's very, very late here. So yeah, if we end recording now, I can get 5 hours of sleep before work. So but yeah, don't put the YouTube video of this up, because I feel like I look like dog shit. Like I just saw myself on camera and I'm like, man, I look how I feel tonight. I'll put a filter on it.
Yeah, just put up just one good still photograph of me, really airbrushed, kind of like.
Anytime you cut in, it's like your 8x10 glossy with a little autograph on the bottom, just sitting in for you. Yeah. All right, folks, that's it. That's James Gang. We are the Deep Purple Podcast Gang, and we are out. Thank you for listening once again. We'll be back at you next week with another unbelievable session of greatness. A little bit of a shorter episode next week. Hopefully you enjoy it. So thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple Podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also leave us a review in Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.